What do you want to talk about?
What happened in your life? What else?
Going into uni. Bare madness was just going on in my life, you know. Like my life was actually like looking back. I don't know how I didn't get into depression. So like listen, the amount of things I was going through, yeah, I don't think it's the same as like the Great Commission. But yeah.
That sounds a bit sticky, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and like just before in year 12 or year 13, I nearly converted one of my black friends. Potentially, yeah, I was definitely gonna get married.
So,
To
did you guys have a relationship though? Like,
I did not want to have a relationship with him, but like I did speak to him.
so this was kind of like uh, on the side of being arranged kind of thing.
Oh yeah, definitely arranged. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, definitely arranged. Yeah.
So yeah, so let's dig into it. So like, tell me, I believe that you were born in Zimbabwe, isn't it?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. So like, tell me about that. So when did you come over here? Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so I came here when I was 8. I want to say when I was 8, but it seems like a very common age for people
I
to
came here when I was
come
8
here.
as well. I think. Well, actually,
Um,
no. I left Nigeria when I was 8, went to Jamaica, but that's a story for another time.
I wanted to say something, but it's actually
I
not
know.
necessary.
I know. I know.
But yeah, so I came here when I was 8, and my, I don't really know the circumstances around that, but yeah, so I was born in Zimbabwe. I remember spending like a lot of time in my grandparents' house on my mom's side, so I feel like they had a big part in raising me as well. And they were Christians. They used to go to Methodist church, so I remember like going every Sunday. But I think I the highlight was having ice cream after church. So I feel like that's how they used to kind of entice us. Say like, yeah, come church, but then you can have ice cream. Not that I had the um option choice. Not that I had no choice. So yeah, so I remember like spending a lot of time with my grandparents, and I feel like their household is literally like it was very like a Christian household kind of thing. They'll pray before every meal or like dinner time. When people are going, they'll pray for them. I feel like we just used to pray a lot, and I think they used to have like these hymn books, and I remember just like going through them, and this was in Shona, and I was still like trying to memorize it, and I don't know, maybe that was more for fun than anything else. And I remember reading the Book of Esther so many times in Shona, but I don't really know why I used to do that. So my dad side of the family, they are apostolics, so they're Christians, but it's very different. It's different. It's different.
What do you mean by it was very apostolic, please?
Uh
Because you, or at least like, because you said it's different. Like, what are the differences? Like, tell us a bit more about that.
okay, so they all still read the Bible. But they believe like they believe Jesus to be the Son of God as well. So they believe in like the Trinity. But they believe that there's a messenger that was sent to Africa for Africans. I don't know if you're gonna are you gonna take this?
No, I'm just trying to understand that, right? The belief
Yeah.
that someone came, that there was like an apostle to Africa. Is it Africa or like Zimbabwe?
Africa.
Africa.
For basically, yeah, just someone for Africans because it's that whole concept that like every race has was sent a messenger.
So that was a church on your dad's side, did you say? How about the church on your mom's side? Did you experience both these churches as well, or did you like go to one?
I was brought up like as I want to say like a Christian. So it was either a Methodist or like a Baptist with my mom.
Right.
Mm.
So you went to like the traditional like Christianity kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Right, so that was probably like your main exposure to Christianity when like your main first exposure to Christianity was like from your mom's side.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. So you guys come over to England and yeah, what was that like?
So in terms of like church wise, I think for maybe a year, 2 years, well, for a long time, I think like my family we didn't go to church, and it was
Hmm.
no one even spoke about it, and it was just like yeah, standard. But then I think when I went to high school, my dad started going to church, and he was going to his church, and yeah, I think shortly after, then he started taking me and my brother. For me, like really, one of the things I really liked about it is because everyone used to speak Shona and it was kind of like a Zimbabwean community kind of thing. So I think
Hmm.
I just felt like a home kind of thing.
Hmm.
And even like me still being able to speak fluently in my language, read
Hmm.
it, write it, and all of that. Potentially, most of it goes down to that. So I think I got into the hive. I didn't necessarily like the practices, but I think I just liked the sense of community there. And yeah, so we went there for all throughout my high school life, I would say. So I think like we started going there like end of year seven. Yeah, so all throughout and so like one of my friends from school was asking a question about what if you die today, then like realize there's actually no heaven or hell. That like you kind of just, wasted your time believing in
Hmm.
certain things. And what would you kind of like do with that? So for me, because once my church, like the church I was going to, once it split, I didn't like it because now all of my friends were left at the other church. So
Hmm.
I didn't really like it, but I still obviously wanted to do something for God, and like I still wanted to serve God, but I just didn't like the church. So when the that guy asked me about, it was almost like, oh, okay. So I was just thinking about it, and I thought, I would actually be very, very upset, like if you see everything on my Facebook and all of that, I was just feel like I'll be really upset. Like, why did you make me live this life?
Hmm.
I didn't have to. So I took the same conversation to the other friend, the Pentecostal girl, and I asked her the same question, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'll still be happy because I actually like going to church. I like the communion aspect. I like the fellowship aspect, and everything that she does with that church. She likes it." So for me, I think that's when I started asking myself like questions like what am I doing? Like what is this? So I believe I believe that potentially God led me to like start reading the Bible because that church they're not really big on encouraging people to read their own word. So I took it upon myself and I was reading the book of Matthew. And right at the end, when it says, therefore, go to all nations and baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. For
Uh,
me, I remember I was reading that in my bedroom. And for me, that was kind of like, wow, Jesus loves me. Like, he actually came for me as well. Like, I'm involved, I'm included in like Christianity. Like, God is actually for me as well. I think that just changed, like, literally my whole life. I know people get saved when they do the altar call, the prayer, or like go to church,
hmm.
things like that. But for me, that was not my experience.
Do you know what? When you said the church split, it kind of sounds to me a bit like a divorce, you know, like for the church, right? I guess it's kind of similar. Like
Mm.
divorces can be a bit traumatizing for like children. So
Yeah,
I'm
yes,
just
it was.
yeah. So that's kind of what I want to like ask you. Like, what kind of impacts did that have on you? Like this church, I'm guessing you obviously like loved the church, you loved everyone, maybe even like the good parts and the bad parts together, like you loved it all. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, probably to yourself, it all comes crashing down. And then there's things like there's two sides, two truths.
Yeah,
Everyone's basically saying that their
yeah.
side is the best side. That's got to be like
Hmm.
confusing for a 12-year-old or an 11-year-old. Like, how
Mm.
was that for you? Was it disorientating? How disorientating was it? Did you rebel, or did it make you actually want to find out things more for yourself?
Yeah, so I think for me, I took it so bad because, like, for me, it was something that obviously, like, I was a part of for a long time, and that it was almost like I was used to the routine as well, and I had built the relationships with people, and I think it was because of the way it kind of happened. So it was very dramatic. Like one Saturday, it was just like, oh, we're not going to church. We're doing church in Wolverhampton now, and I was almost like, what? What do you mean? Like there was literally no we're thinking about this. Mo, like we're gonna have two different churches. Yeah, no, nothing. Like it was literally like, yeah, we'll be done. We're done with this church. Like you're gonna be coming to this one. This is the actual truth. And so I think like on that day, I remember speaking to I think my two friends, and they were just like, "Oh, you're not coming," and I was like, "Yeah, we're not coming." And they didn't understand as well because they were kids as well, and I didn't understand, and I was just like, we all of us were just kind of like baffled, like, oh, okay, so that's what's happening, and I took it really bad, and I think it was the way it was done, and it just felt like we were we had been so close with these people for such a long time, and for them to just pull us away and not explain what was actually going on. I feel like that was just it was not good. So even the divorce or breakup, I think it really affected the children that came to the churches. So some of them, that's when they kind of like just branched out and just did their own thing. And I think it just yeah it was just not good. It was just not good. But then like it was the whole thing about like this is the truth. The church I went to, apparently that's the real truth kind of thing. So yeah, we just had to kind of like go through it. I didn't have essay in it. I could not have had a say in it, but yeah, it was really sad. It was really upsetting, and I think just dealing with that took a while because you couldn't really ask any questions. Well, I felt like I couldn't ask any questions, and potentially I probably couldn't ask any questions. So it was just something that you'd have to like think about it yourself and come to an understanding or conclusion, and just yeah, it is what it is. And so that's why probably me and my brother would talk about it a lot, just to try to kind of like understand what was going on.
Mm.
But I would probably think that if the church never split, I don't know if I would have been here.
Mm. Mm. That's
But
interesting.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
let's have a little side discussion, yeah, because kind of I have a friend, right, who's also Zimbabwean, right? And he also went to like a Zimbabwean church, like where they just like a Zimbabwean community and like they did church. And
yeah.
I kind of want to talk about that a little bit because that makes me a bit uncomfortable, you know. Um,
Mm,
and I'm not saying that with my chest, like just because it makes me uncomfortable that it's wrong. But I just feel like um, I kind of want to talk about it with you, like because you obviously went to one. Do you think it's healthy to have a church like that? And I'll tell you what my concerns are. It's like one, Well, my main concern, to be honest with you, is like regardless of the denomination, like regardless of if it's Seventh-day Adventist, Pentecostal, this or that, my main concern is like that tradition and stuff like that will take precedent over the actual word and the teaching.
Okay, I think from experience, it's a great sense of community. Like,
Yeah,
I think people just definitely love that aspect of it, and like especially being in a foreign country,
yeah,
I think it's definitely like such a good thing just to see someone who's leading and speaking your mother tongue.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing. So I
I
think
can
like
see those benefits and I can acknowledge
yeah,
those benefits. But obviously, yeah, at the end of the day, community doesn't save you. It's like it's Jesus Christ that saves you. So like, and also in terms of like,
that's the thing.
and also in terms of like, you know, being equipped to survive in this world, man. Like, because it's a thing of like, there's quite a lot of us out here. Us, I mean, like Africans or maybe even not even Africans, just like Christians, like kids brought up in Christian communities. Because I know it's this doesn't just happen in African communities, but like kids that are brought up in Christian communities, when you leave like your family home or your family church and you're on your own,
Mm,
like what you find is you're not really, you find that you're not really equipped enough to survive on your own, like in the world. And that's kind of,
yeah.
that's also part of like why I'm a bit uncomfortable by it all. But yeah, so, but I do like
Mm,
the thing of like community and being, you know, like being a part of something, especially
yeah,
coming from another country, like you're with your fellow like brothers and sisters, like countrymen. That must feel
yeah,
great.
yeah.
But is it really the best in terms of like your faith?
I would say it's probably like if you still like encouraged to read the word, I feel like it still would be beneficial. Then like through the word, it would expose that like you can't just limit it to like a certain nationality. In terms of like the Christianity walk, they of to an extent, I think maybe culture is more seems a bit more important than the actual word. So it's almost like culture, then like Christianity, then like mold it all together.
Mm.
So there's a saying, what was it? They say like the messenger came to kind of respond to help them respond to the gospel the way that they would understand. So already that's got like a
That's a
cultural
bias.
aspect
Yeah.
to it. Yeah, it's very like cultural kind of like led.
Mm.
So from yeah. So I think I don't think it's good, but I know they do like branch out. They do want like everyone I guess to kind of like get
Mm.
attend the church. I don't think it's the same as like the Great Commission, but yeah.
That sounds a bit sticky, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and like just before in year 12 or year 13, I nearly converted one of my black friends.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can just be about like yeah, black friends, you know, Africans, this and that, like culture, tradition, and
Mm,
that's not that's not part of the gospel, man. It's just not about God wants to save like everyone, but
hmm
it's it's hard to say a decisive comment on it because at the end of the day, like you said, like good things can be done from it. Like there is definitely good that can come from it. So you can't write it off altogether. So before you said that if the divorce didn't happen, if the split didn't happen, um, you might not be here right now, like at this point in your faith journey. Why do you say that?
Because I think like because of the cultural aspect of of things as well, and because we had so many different people like youths and older people there, so it was almost like everyone was gonna just get married, have kids, and everyone was gonna stay
Mm,
within that.
mm,
Because I I even had like lined up potentials kind of thing,
mm.
and I was the main girl, you know. Yeah, so even that because just before the split as well, I found out later on that um like one of the people was even like one of the sisters was getting like we're more like friendly towards me kind of thing, but that was just to set up
Mm,
her brother. So like even the families, I remember like even just going to I don't know like on our way back going to like a restaurant and eating and just the two families. And so I think certain things were getting set up, and because my dad, that's that's his culture kind of
mm,
thing, and that's what, yeah. So I feel like potentially, like, yeah, I would have definitely like been married, bag of kids, and
mm,
just living that life. And I think you just get caught up in
mm,
doing things, and
mm,
it doesn't really give you that aspect of saying like you need to have this personal relationship with God, like you need to know who God
mm,
is for yourself. It's
mm,
almost like you get fed like it's with the preachers.
mm,
That's like the truth, but like not necessarily like looking at
mm,
the source or like where it's all coming
mm.
from.
See, that's
Um,
dangerous, that's so scary.
very,
That's kind of
yeah,
a bit of like, I mean, this is an extreme version, but it's a bit like brainwashing, isn't it? Like a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Or like it's just like molding a child into something kind of
Hmm.
thing. Like grooming,
Hmm.
some might
Yeah.
call it, like all these things.
I'm not gonna. I
No,
don't know.
not you, but like
Yeah,
there's definitely traits of that, or like
yeah,
elements of that. And that's kind of part again of the reason why I say like I'm a bit uncomfortable by all of that stuff,
mm,
because
yeah,
you can go through that system, that setup, that thing, and come out like I say, just like with nothing at the end of it, right?
yeah.
Going back to
Hmm.
your to that guy that asked you the question of like what's the point in being a Christian if you get to the end of it
Yeah,
and there's nothing?
yeah.
Would you mind just like talking a little bit about just about like the danger of like got like not reading the word for yourself kind of thing?
Okay, so I
Just
think
a
like
little bit.
I think it's very you because like if God revealed himself through his word and you're not reading his word, so how do you get to know the person that you say you believe in? And I think it's because for me, which I kind of experienced personally as well, is when if you just believe solely on what this person says, the minute they fall or do something a bit, that's your whole
Mm,
thinking belief gone.
mm,
But if you actually have a relationship with God and like read your own word and know that all of us are fallen, or all of us have like sin in us and all of that kind of thing, I think like you're less likely to have that problem. But
mm,
because if you just look to man, man will fall. Like man will do
mm,
some madness, and you're just
mm,
thinking like, oh, this is God, but like it's not God. It's us. So I think for me personally, if you don't read your word, I think sometimes that's why you can't have the questions I think I have now is only because I've read the word,
mm,
and now I'm trying to. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense with what some of
mm,
the things that they do. So it's like, okay, so make that make sense. But the other people who go into there, it's like, oh, it's just my identity. I was born into this, so it's more like
mm,
embracing who you are. It's part of who they are, and
mm.
I still, yeah, I think I greatly advise people to just read the word for themselves because, yeah, man will fall. And yeah, you don't want to be in that situation.
Because man will fall, but also because like the word is the authority. Like what God said is the
Yeah,
authority, not the man. And
definitely.
the man bends
100%.
like to the authority, like to the word.
Mm-hmm.
Just to piggyback
100%,
off
yeah.
that a little bit, I've got a good example of this. And it's like a thing of,
Mm.
do you know Rabbi Zacharias?
Yeah, is yeah, I do.
He's a man, yeah, that I personally like. Let me not exaggerate, but I was gonna say I loved him. I'm not too sure I loved him, but or maybe I did. But I thought
Oh
he
yeah,
like
I heard the things.
he wowed me. Like I was like, wow, this guy is an impressive man, and he's a guy
Mm,
that like um he's a guy that's is an apologetic. So that's like someone that kind of defends the faith, like comes at
yeah.
all these claims that Christianity is wrong or old fashioned or like not up to date with science or today's generations. He comes at it with like apologia, like with some arguments for like why like the faith is the
Is
authority is good, is great, is valid, is living, and
mm,
Christ is living.
mm.
Um, and it's a thing of like I listened to it and I was like, I'll be like, wow, this is great. Like I wanna like you listen to what he says, his arguments, you like take it on board for yourself, like really for if someone comes at you and like you be like, do you get me like sharp? Like the like God is good, the faith is good, the Bible is valid. And it's like you can put a person like that on a pedestal. And obviously
Yeah.
Ravi Zacharias dies and all these things come up about like sexual misconduct basically with like different people, and that can
Mm,
be so heartbreaking. Like that could
definitely.
make you think, well, all these arguments that you learned from Ravi Zacharias, it's like
Mm,
if if he didn't believe them from his actions, like kind of thing, like this is
yeah.
what you can think. Like if he's such a great man, you know, such a holy man, like such a respectable man, such a strong man, you know, like
Mm, mm,
if he can fall, if he cannot live up to his like the standard that you put him on, like the pedestal that he put him on, from his words, from what he did, like how can I, how can I do it? Like if
mm.
my mentor can't do
Yeah.
it, how the hell can I do it? So like that's kind of like an
Yeah. Yeah.
example of like what you're talking about, like in another kind of in another kind of setting, in a sense that, and like I've heard this many times as well. It's a thing of I'm pretty. It's my first podcast. I'm gonna mention John Piper, of course, but like
Yes.
I mean, I was gonna mention it before as well, but I kind of
I
held
see it.
out. I kind of held out, but I'll mention it now.
I
But
don't.
like, but it's a thing of like he talked about like when he was in, I think, seminary, something like that. Like seminary wasn't about like cramming all these things, because if you're there cramming it, like knowing all these one-liners, stuff like that, 9 times out of 10, when the presentation, when the situation actually presents itself, all the things that you've crammed leaves your brain, and then what do you really have? So
Mm,
it's a thing of like this life
yeah.
isn't about like hanging off of what these people say. It's about digging into the Bible for yourself and letting it like literally fill you from head to
Mm-hmm.
toe. Like that's kind of what it's about.
Definitely.
It's not about listening to these men. As much as I love John Piper myself, John Piper will tell you himself not to listen to him, but listen to like track what he's saying if it's in the word before you listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowadays in life, it's like the only real time you get to spend with God is like when you're in church. And like for me personally, I think yours is a bit more than me, but it's like for me personally, it's like just on a Sunday morning, and that's it. We have Bible studies on
Mm,
Tuesday over Zoom, which I'm not really too much of a fan of. I prefer it to be in person. But
yeah.
but yeah, that you attend sometimes. But over Zoom you can't really be, well, I tend not to be as engaged as I maybe would be if it was like in person. So it's a bit of
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
passive experience really. And also church on a Sunday is a bit of a passive experience because you just sat there and
Yes.
listen. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like during the week, like you're busy with work, you're busy with, I don't know, just life happening, you know?
Mm,
And it's like all your experience, all your knowledge the Bible is like of God, of Christianity is secondhand, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that kind of isn't the best, really. Like, yeah,
No.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely I agree with that as well. Because like what you're saying, yeah, like church is more like an experience kind of thing.
Mm.
And I don't want to go into it, but like yeah, like it's
Go
more like
into
an
it, Martha. Come on, let's go
no,
into
because I'm
it.
gonna go to Acts and say the church was not like this and all of that, but
No, let's talk about it,
there's
please.
a
Let's
time
talk
for
about it.
everything.
Let's talk about it. Nah, this is it. This is the time to say everything.
Okay, so I just yeah, like just based on like reading the word and stuff like that, or just reading the word, the church looks quite different to how we function. We make it function nowadays. So there's a massive gap, and like you meant to be like in the community with people, the whole encouraging others and all of that stuff. I don't know if you can do that really just based on like an hour service.
Mm,
I think there should be potentially like an emphasis on fellowship,
mm,
Christians gathering. So yeah, so you can just like yeah encourage each other, like get to know people, like actually know what's going on in people's lives because
mm,
literally we all dress the best on Sunday,
mm.
and
You
after
got
that,
that from somewhere. Come on. Just the best. That was sick. That was sick. That's not the first time. That didn't just come to your head, Martha. That's
that
right.
was me. That was all me.
Nah, no, it wasn't.
That was
Even the way
all
you said it,
me.
the passion, just the best. Right? That's sick. if if that
um,
was the first time and
but
that just came to your mind, that's epic.
yeah, just
Wow. Because that was multi-layered, didn't it? Like just the best physically and also like outwardly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like it just came
Smashed
out.
it,
Yeah.
right? My G.
But yeah, so with things like that, I just don't think there's like enough time for, like accountability, for people to actually be who they say they are. And I think
Mm,
for me, like anyways, this is me going off the topic, but I feel like this year I have noticed that because I haven't been focusing so much on myself, I've been trying to like be out there with people and people are suffering. They're suffering so
mm,
much and you can easily like not see that because you just want your service, you just want your routine, praise
mm,
and worship, then the sermon, then like people, I don't know, speak for a minute, then go home. But like people are suffering. Like I feel like God
mm,
has been showing me that like different and just through conversations or and stuff like that. And I don't know if we can really capture that. And because like the church in Acts, it grew because of fellowship and people just loving on each other, and like the non-believers saw that and they wanted to come into it. I don't know if the church can be is a place to run to now. I don't know if there's someone's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know if like churches will be that place for them.
mm.
And yeah, that's a personal thing as well for me as well. But I just feel like we need to be as a church, we need to be in the community. We can't be just we are Christians, we are believers, we are over here and you guys are over there. No, we're meant to be like, we're not of the world, but like,
Can I just
we're in
say,
the world.
nah, I mean, I agree like 1,000% with everything you've just said there. But do you know what? Yeah, there's this. Maybe we can talk about this in another session or like at another time.
Yeah.
But like the idea of the church in Acts, like just like you, I've brought up the church in Acts as like this idyllic, you know, version of church and like what church should be. But we also do need to remember that like what you're talking about there is like the early chapters of Acts. Like if you get to maybe like chapter 5 or 6,
Yeah.
you get to see some cracks creeping in big
I
time.
know. I know.
So like we also need
I
to like
know.
bring that
I
up.
know. I
But
know.
we also need to bring that up just to balance things out. But like like
Uh,
even
sorry.
No, go on.
Sorry. Just before like you continue, that's the standard.
Yes.
That's their expectation. I'm not saying like
Yes.
every church needs to be on that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying like if we have a vision of the church, that would be like one of the standards.
Yep.
So if anything, I know like definitely like we're not perfect, and yeah, the seven churches, everything was wrong with it. Corinthians, they're doing madness in that church, but like obviously that's to show that because we're humans, stuff will happen. But I don't think that can't be the standard. That's what I would want to emphasize on. Like that's not the standard. That's the fallen version kind of thing. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I mean that was gonna be what I was gonna end on, but you pretty much ended it for me. But look, I'm 100% on your side. It's a thing of the kind of level of church right now. It's like the like to even resemble anything close to what we saw like in Acts as like the ideal church as the standard, like you said. We're not really close, are we? And that's kind of a shame. Because yeah, like if we try to be as like if we kind of took if we kind of took like the main components of what made that church like tick or great, who knows where we would be. But at the same time,
Yeah.
we're like me and G here, we're both to blame for like why it's not there as well, you know. We're as much a part of the
Yeah.
problem as like as everybody else, I guess. um
100%. Yeah, definitely.
that's also worth saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've gotten a bit of actually. Let's kind of try and summarize the yeah, like your experience of early church quickly before we move on from it. So
Yeah.
so you get to your new church, like were things good there, better, fine?
Um, it was there was a lot of pressure. I feel like there was a lot of pressure on me, and because of that, I think it took the fun out of it because
Mm,
I couldn't talk to anyone about it and just be like, oh, listen, this is a bit much, you know.
mm,
And because me being a girl as well, that would have been different pressures in comparison to my brother. So it was quite, in a way, it was quite isolating. Then, like even like talking to friends from school, they would not understand. No one really understood like my situation, kind of thing. And there was an expectation to like lead the younger kids. It was unspoken of, but it was almost like, yeah, just look up to her, and it's a lot of pressure because I think there's an issue when like you have your own expectations, the church has their own expectations, and your parents have own yeah expectations. Then like it's too much. I'm only one person, kind of thing.
mm,
So when the church split, I for me personally, like the church experience, that's when it started declining. I didn't really
mm,
like church.
mm. Right, that's interesting. Do you know what? Yeah, from what you're telling me so far, I find it quite hard. Like, how did you actually get here? Like, how?
Listen, only God, only God, only God, because yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, can we just fast track a little bit? How did you? Because I feel like I need some light in this room right now. Like how
um,
how did how did things get better?
um, how do things get better?
Or like when? Yeah,
When
yeah.
I think potentially things. So I feel like when I got saved or had a personal relationship with God, one thing that He gave me was joy. So like I feel
Mm.
like literally like He gave me joy, even though I was always like a happy
That's
person.
beautiful.
But but I feel like He gave me joy. So as soon as I
Mm.
got saved, so like around year 12, going into uni, bare madness was just going on in my life, you know. Like my life was actually like looking back. I don't know how I didn't get into depression. So like listen, the amount of things I was going through, yeah, and so I think things got better in potentially like 2016. But I think even though I was going through a lot, I
Was
feel like
that
because
was
God
that
gave
when
me
we
that
met?
joy. No, we met in 2013 or 14, 2013, I think.
Oh, never mind then.
You felt like you. Wow.
I'm joking.
Wow. So for me, I think things were good then because I had joy. I couldn't explain it, but I was actually happy.
Okay, so then how about relationships? What part did like in terms of like boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, like what part did that play in your childhood? Like,
Okay.
did you have a boyfriend like in high school, or like a guy you was talking to?
I had people that I was talking to. I
Oh,
had people that I was
people.
talking.
Right, my girl.
So like the church that I went to, I was like one of the more mature girls. Yeah, so I think like all the other young guys who were there, potentially they would have looked at me like with interest kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
had been on and I had my little best friend, guy friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been like a running theme through majority of that life. Um,
Can we talk about that, by the way, not just like gloss over it? But you can finish, but then we'll get back.
what do you want to talk about?
What happened in your life? What else? It's not that difficult. Oh,
What-
no, like
um,
how did that affect you? I'm only dwelling on it because I feel like that's a big thing, like a relationship at that age. Like,
mm,
and I think with you, it seems to be the same person as well. So like on and off, on and off. Like, how did that like what was that like for you then? Like, was it disorientated? Was it informing? Like, and also like how did that affect your Christianity, like your walk with God as well? Like, just tell us a bit about that.
okay, so from like when I met him, I met him from church, and yeah, he just became like my best friend kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
very supporting one another and whatever. So I think that's why even the church split really hurt me more because he was on the other side. I think at that young age, we were obviously like making promises. Oh, like, yeah, I'm gonna marry you. We're gonna get married and whatever, and just talking about the like life. And he was one of the people that I can actually just be like honest with, and I like to think vice versa as well. So I think when the whole church thing split happened, I was almost like my world was literally kind of like shattered, kind of thing. Else was interested in me, and I had to ask him like, "Oh, what do you think about this? Is it okay if I speak to him?" Like, what? But yeah. Anyways, so I think like the church split was not just hurtful because of the church; it was hurtful because I was away from like someone that
Yeah, because of the people. Yeah.
no, specifically because of him as well.
Oh
But like
wow. Yeah.
so I think even through that, try to do we still maintain a friendship, but like from like a long distance. And I think I don't know. He said something which, but that was like my little first heartbroken situation, and I think from that. I don't know if it's true. Like if someone hurts you, then like the other people are just like, oh yeah, it's kind of like banter. So I think for me as well, like because I didn't have him, that's why the whole thing was just like really bad at
Mm, mm.
being.
Your heart was broken, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, bless.
So everything just kind of like kept on getting a lot worse, and then like he had to move to move to somewhere else, and then I was a bit hurt by that.
Mm.
I think I would say to my child, if my daughter ever comes to me and say they've got like a little best friend boy, I'll be like, listen, lock it off, sis. You don't need it off now. You don't need that. You don't need that. um it just carried a lot and put so much emphasis on him. And because even when I was going through like where I would say like sixth form, no, uni, when I was going through things, I because I was getting to know God, but I feel like I had like a savior complex type of situation with him as well, because I wanted him to, if I told him something, I wanted him to like, rescue me kind of thing. And potentially he was going through stuff as well. So he was kind of like two broken people trying to make something work, and it was just falling in shambles. Then like the closer I got to God, the more like certain things just couldn't run kind of thing. And that made it, we became more distant. But like because both of us had said things to each other, it was still like, oh, that's the person I'm meant to be with. And it took me a very, very, very long time to,
yeah. It's almost like you guys made like did your vows and you were trying to like catch up to it when it wasn't really working.
Yeah. So so at some point I had to give like whatever I thought he could do, I had to give that to God and say like, okay, God, you take that place. And because potentially because when we're young, I feel like that was just like, oh, we're just getting to know each other. But like we were best friends. We used to talk a lot.
Would you say that your bond was so like strong because you two probably felt like you two was the only ones that understood each other, kind of thing?
Yeah, and just a natural thing because he's a boy.
Right. Yeah. No, but I'm trying to get to like, no, because the question I'm asking myself is like, why was it such a strong bond? And like, why did you guys make such like strong promises to each other? What was it? And I was maybe inferring myself on that because I also had a little somebody when I was younger, but our bond was so. Oh, he was Zimbabwean as well, actually. Laugh was like, I know, but I feel like a part of why our bond was so strong was it was almost a thing of like it was us against the world. Like nobody else understood us, only us understood each other. Like I was basically trying to figure out if that was the same with you or not. But
yeah, it definitely was because I guess the whole thing about like planning in advance and then like making plans, future plans, and knowing that like because I guess whatever foundation we had, this was very strong. But then having that taken away from us, it was almost like, what do we do now? And
you guys tried.
And life happening as well. Then like him experiencing different things in comparison to me, then like trying to be there for each other, but you're not really sure. I don't know how these young couples do it yet because it's a bit mad. And like what I said, like two broken people. I don't know why it was so strong. It was so.
I think the answer is in the fact that you were two broken people. Like you was trying to fix, like one of you fixed something for the other, kind of thing. Like you both found your fixes in each other, or at least tried to. I think that's why that's why maybe there was such a strong bond. Maybe borderline on an unhealthy bond. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah,
which makes sense.
So that's been that was the main guy in my life for the on and off. And but going to uni was a bit of an issue because I was meant to get married, not go to uni. So just before, I think this was the August or September, I was meant to go to like a different country. Then it was meant to be like, oh, just going to like a church conference, but I knew like I was gonna get married because
wait, Rafa, like, can you tell us about what it was like? How did you guys meet? Like, can you tell us about that before the marriage?
Okay, sorry. So like, Sorry. So prior to like in 2012, like before I finished uni, we went to like a church conference in Zambia, and that's where like the two families met. And I think that he's interested, and so yeah, then like the families were just yeah, like banter back. But for me, I knew this was like so real, and I really did happen. But then so in fast forward to September. So this happened like June, July. So fast forward to September. Yeah, we were meant to go to another church conference. I think in South Africa. I can't remember. And yeah, potentially, yeah, I was definitely gonna get married.
So, so
To
did you guys have a relationship though? Like,
um, I did not want to have a relationship with him, but like I did speak to him. I was given like numbers where thingy.
so this was kind of like uh, on the side of being arranged kind of thing.
Oh yeah, definitely arranged. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, definitely arranged. Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so how did the arrangement not happen?
I ended up going to uni instead of like going to the church conference, and that's how.
Ah,
Yeah, something wrong. I think something wrong was like booking my ticket or something like that. It was really like close call.
mhm.
It was very close, and like yeah, my life would have been like a different story. Then so even through that, like a few people were interested and like asking for my hand in marriage and all sorts. And I just said to me like no, 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 and had to explain myself. Yeah, it was long.
I mean, if anyone's out there listening to this, and I can help to arrange a little something, you know, if you want. Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Um, okay, fine. So that wasn't much of a thing, really. It was just like something that was meant to happen, but you didn't really want it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's kind of just round up, put it all in a nice little bowl. So let's just say how like how has God been good to you in your life, would you say?
So I think the things I've mentioned before, so the joy, the friends, and I feel like I've never been without. I've always had what I needed, not
Mm.
always what I wanted, but always what I needed.
Thank you very much for being an amazing guest. The first one, which is pretty epic. And to be honest with you, like the fact that you're first is credit to you as well. Like, it's because of it's because of my respect for you and like yeah, how I view you in my life. So yeah, thanks a lot.